Have you ever just looked at someone incredibly successful and wondered, how did they do that? What's the secret? Well, it's usually not about just having a ton of money or getting lucky. Today, we're going to dig into the anatomy of success by looking at some truly amazing stories of how ordinary people, just like us, did some pretty extraordinary things. So that's the big question, right? How do ordinary people become extraordinary? We went looking for the answer. And what we found was, well, it's both really simple and incredibly powerful. And it all starts in a place you might not expect at all.
Okay, so picture this. It's 2020. The whole world is on lockdown. And this young guy working in a factory gets called in and told, sorry, we have to let you go. They just couldn't afford to pay him anymore. Now, for most people, that would be devastating, a real low point. But for him, it was just the beginning.
Because get this, just 2 years later, that same young man, Kabi Lame, had 143 million followers on TikTok. And he didn't sing, he didn't dance, he didn't even speak. All he did was silently react to all those crazy life hack videos. And for some reason, the entire world just couldn't get enough. So what does that kind of fame actually translate to, in dollars and cents? Well, how about over $60,000 for a single promotional video? In just a couple of years, this 22-year-old made almost $2 million. His entire fortune, his entire career, was built on one simple thing. And that, right there, is our first big theme. The first ingredient in this whole recipe is a unique idea, but it's more than just an idea. It's about having a unique way of looking at the world. It's the ability to see a massive opportunity where everybody else just sees a problem, or maybe they don't see anything at all. Let me ask you this. You see a big pile of old, useless tires on the side of the road. What do you see? Most of us, we just see trash, right? But an African entrepreneur named Malcolm, he saw something totally different. He saw potential. And his plan was so simple, it was brilliant. He bought up the old tires nobody wanted, for next to nothing. He figured out how to turn them into tough, super affordable sandals, and then he sold them. But here's the best part. You know who the first people he hired were when his business started booming? The same friends who had laughed at him and called his idea crazy. Now that's the power of a unique idea when you actually act on it. And this just shows you how huge a small idea can become. Phil Knight, the guy who started Nike, literally began by selling shoes out of the trunk of his car. In his first year, he made about $6,000. Sounds okay, right? Well, today, his company, Nike, sells over $4,000 worth of shoes every single minute. An absolute empire built from the trunk of a car. But here's the thing. An idea, even a brilliant one, is just the start. It's not enough. Because the road from that idea to actual success, well, it's almost always full of failure and rejection. So the second key thing you need is this. Like almost irrational stubbornness, a flat-out refusal to quit no matter what they throw at you. Okay, just let this sink in for a minute. We're talking about Jack Ma, the founder of Alibaba. He got rejected from more than 30 jobs. When KFC first came to his city, 24 people applied for a job. 23 of them were hired. He was the only one rejected. He failed his school exams over and over, but he just kept going. And that persistence eventually led him to create a company that completely changed the game for e-commerce. And what happens when that rejection doesn't just last a few months, but for over a decade? Nawazuddin Siddiqui came to Mumbai dreaming of being an actor. For 12 years, a full 12 years, he was told he didn't have the right look, that he wasn't hero material. 12 years of struggle, of hearing no, day after day. But he didn't quit. And then finally, his breakthrough role came, and the world got to see the unbelievable talent that was there the whole time. This kind of stubbornness also means believing in your idea when nobody else does. Back in 1998, the founders of Google went to Yahoo, which was the king of the internet back then, and offered to sell their little search engine for just $1 million. And Yahoo said, no thanks. So the founders didn't give up. They kept at it. And that little company Yahoo passed on for $1 million is now worth over 682 times billion. All right, so our third theme, this one goes even deeper. It's about people who are facing situations that you and I would probably call impossible, and then they just completely shattered those limitations. In 1995, Dwayne Johnson's dream of being a pro football player was over. He got injured. He looked in his wallet, and all the money he had in the entire world was $7. $7. I mean, look at that bar chart. That's rock bottom. And from that exact point, he decided he was going to conquer the world. Today, The Rock is one of the biggest stars on the planet, worth over $320 million. Can you even begin to imagine hearing those words from your doctor? You only have 2 years left to live. That was the actual diagnosis given to a brilliant 21-year-old student named Stephen Hawking. He was told he had a motor neuron disease and that his life was, for all practical purposes, over. But, well, fate and the doctors were spectacularly wrong. He was confined to a wheelchair, he couldn't even speak on his own, but he didn't just survive. He completely changed our understanding of the universe. He made huge contributions to the Big Bang Theory, he revolutionized how we think about black holes, and he wrote one of the most important science books ever. He proved that the limits we think are real are often just in our heads. So, okay, we've talked about unique ideas, about never giving up, and about defying impossible odds. But our final theme suggests that maybe, just maybe, the real mantra of success is something we completely overlook. And there's one last, pretty wild story that illustrates this perfectly. I want you to meet Kurt DeGerman. Now, to anyone who saw him on the street, he was a beggar. He lived a really hard life, surviving on scraps. But when he passed away, this incredible secret came out. Kurt was a chiropody, a multi-millionaire. The question is, how on earth is that possible? And this is the craziest part. He didn't find the money, he didn't inherit it, he built it. See, every single day, Kurt would go to the local public library and he would read the financial newspapers. For 40 years, he took the spare change he collected from people and made small, consistent, and really smart investments in the stock market. His success had nothing to do with earning big money. It was all about knowledge and discipline. Which brings us to our final and maybe most powerful point. Back in 1959, 7 women got together and started a business with a borrowed loan that was worth about $1. Their idea was simple: make and sell papad and create jobs for other women in their community. From that single dollar, Lizette Papad has become a massive company with a turnover of over $200 million a year, employing more than 45,000 women. So when you boil it all down, here's the crucial point. It's not about the money you start with. It's about the power of the idea you start with. Every single story we looked at today, from Khaby Lame making silent videos to the women of Lizette Papad, proves it. They saw something that other people missed, they refused to quit, and they ended up changing their entire world. So I guess the only question left is, what's the idea that you're not going to give up on?